Hello everyone, my name's Thor and welcome to this tutorial of Maya. So in this tutorial of Maya, we will be going over how to make objects in the 3D space. Last episode we went over how to navigate, the file system, and the save system of Maya. This one will be going over how to create stuff and how to slightly edit stuff, but I mainly want to get into creating first. When we create an object in Maya, we'll be creating a primitive. And pretty much how we get to that is we can go to create, polygon primitives, and choose any of these guys. Now, before you create anything, turn off interactive creation. And essentially, I'll just show you real quick what interactive creation does. So I'll just do a cube. So for interactive creation, it just tells you, it's like, okay, make the square right here. So that's essentially what interactive creation does. When you start modeling, it starts getting very annoying, especially when you start getting into bigger projects. But if you turn off interactive creation, it'll just pop into the origin of the grid. So now you can see that we have a lot of the different shapes here, and you can use any of them, but generally I use cube when I'm modeling, or I'll use, where is it? I think plane. But for this class, we'll mainly be using cubes because we'll be doing something called block modeling, which will make sense later on. But I clicked cube. Oh, I must have accidentally clicked sphere. Oh well, either way. So now we have this cube in our scene, and we can just rotate around it. Yep, it is definitely a cube. It is a 3D object, but now let's say we want to start editing it. So how we start like moving it around, rotating it, or making it bigger is we have these tools right here. And these hotkeys are, so first off we have the selection tool. And the selection tool does exactly the same as it's called. It's just selecting. So when we click around, it just selects it. If we add another primitive, oh, and by the way, on these shelves, they have just quick shortcuts. If you want, you can just have it there. Or another way to create objects, hold shift, right click, control, right. Oh, I have to be, okay, that's fine. So when you're doing this, you can't be selected on an object. So now we just made another cube on top of another cube, and that was my bad because I should have showed you guys something different. So polycone. So let's say, okay, so now we've spawned these objects, but let's say we want to move them. We want to just get them out of the way because right now it doesn't look too good. So click on the selected object that you want to move, and you can use the move tool. The hotkey for this guy is W. And now we can just simply click on the arrows and move them around. Or what we can do is click the center and move them on all the axes. Now, it gets kind of confusing with 3D space because we are essentially moving an object in 3D space, but we only have two planes. So whenever you're modeling, I always say either do these arrows or do these squares. And essentially what these squares are is that it will only move that object in a 2D space. So if I clicked this one, it would select the Y and then the X. So then we can just simply move it this way. It will not move in the Z axis. If we click this guy, it just does the X and the Y axis, and then, or sorry, not the X and the Y, the X and the Z axis, and then this guy does the Z and the Y axis. And so all the tools that I'll be showing you today will have pretty much this same system. Now, let's say we can now move this cube, but let's say we want to rotate this cube. Like we don't like the way that it's set up. We don't want it. We want it to have it on its corner. So if we go to rotate, and the hotkey for this guy is E, again, move is W, and rotate is E, we can just simply rotate them that way. So now we can rotate them on any of the axes. Now, there's this blue line right here, and I suggest never really using it because what it does, why are you not working now? Okay. Generally what this blue line does is that it can get confusing. It will sometimes try to rotate things in all the axes at once, and that just gets confusing and hard. It's kind of like using the in the move tool, the center, because essentially, again, we're trying to move an object in 3D space when we only have a 2D sort of thing like a screen. Alright, so now we went over how to rotate things, but now let's get into how to make things bigger and smaller. So we have this thing called the scale tool, and it is this one right here. And again, you see we have these little boxes again in the same origin, or the same way that we had the move tool. So if we just click the center and move it out, it will scale the entire thing uniformly, meaning that there is no specific edge that gets warped. If we click on one, it'll warp it like that. If we click on this guy, it will warp it like that. And if we click on this guy, it will warp it on the X1 or the Y-axis. And then again, we have these squares which will only scale it on the certain axis. And then, and then for the hotkey for this guy is R. So if you click W, it's move, E is rotate, R is to scale. And for the selection tool, it's actually Q. So we have Q, W, E, and R. Alrighty then. So now that you guys know how to do this, I want to give you guys just a little task, just something very small, just so that you can fully understand this. So what I want you guys to do is to make a table. Just with what you guys know right now, just simply make a table. And if you're watching this at home and if you are the people watching it from my class and I already gave you the assignment, you don't have to do it, but I would suggest you do it just to get just for more practice essentially. But besides that, that ends it for this tutorial. In the next one, I'll show you guys how to do a little bit more complex stuff with this modeling technique. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.